this thing needs an exhaust. So the choices are generally take it to an exhaust shop, have one built, I guess buy components like mandrel bends and all that sort of stuff and some pipe and build one. Of course, I'm taking a different route. I'm going to use recycled rubbish that I've found that I bought off someone else that had been on a car that got completely flooded and yeah, went underwater, because why not? Why? Because it's cheap. I'm probably going to regret it because it sounds like it's going to be an absolute nightmare, but we'll see. But more importantly, at this point in time, this engine has these headers, I don't know what they are, pacemakers or something on it. They're hammered. They are absolutely destroyed. They're rusted, they're squashed. They're probably okay up closer to the engine. Bit of surface rust and so on. They're a 4x2 type setup on each side. This side's probably a bit better than the other. If you'd watched previous videos, I've already hacked the end of this off because it was in the way when I was trying to make my shift linkages and so on. But as much as I'd like to leave them, my experience with headers is not great anyway. They generally leak, I find, at the manifolds. I don't know what it is, they just always leak. Okay, they give you more power and all the rest of it. They probably sound a bit better, but at the end of the day, I guess probably the honest truth is I don't really care. So, oh, look, that's bent. So I'm going to be taking these off, and because I love getting covered in grease and dirt and stuff, I'm going to love every minute of it. And then I'm going to go around to the corner, and this is the lovely looking pile of mess that I'm going to be turning into my exhaust system. Now, the International's on a 1-tonner chassis. This exhaust is off a Ute chassis. They're 6 inches shorter through about here somewhere. So no doubt, if you want to keep your exhaust in pristine condition, leave it sitting around on a pile of wet sand. I'm going to probably need to cut it there somewhere. So I'm thinking, I don't know where the pipes are going to come out at the back or anything like that, but I've got the 2 mufflers there, and this probably had twin pipes going to either side of the Ute. I'll possibly just bring them up through the middle, just below the tray. We'll see. And I've got standard headers, manifolds, cast iron manifolds here. So I'll have to get gaskets, obviously, but it seems like the making of an exhaust system. Well, it is an exhaust system, so I've got to make it fit. So, wish me luck. Come on. Come on. Get out of here. Okay. Got those off. They didn't fight me. That's always a win. Bring the other in. I grabbed one of the manifolds from outside, and I don't know, I'm no genius, no flow expert or anything, but I actually reckon they look like they'll probably flow okay. I hadn't looked at them closely before. It sort of, I don't know, doesn't look like a horrible design to me, so we'll see. One of the studs is missing, so because I have plenty of stuff around, I'm pretty sure that this, which could have been a Chev from a Chev, could have been from a Ford, don't really know. Yep, it's in there. That's good. So I'll sort that out. I'll make sure this one undoes as well. Just make sure that's in there tight. Make sure, yep, that one looks okay. Not a bad idea to chase the threads and everything, but I'm not going to do that. I think it should be okay. Righto. Hopefully it fits the head. I don't know how many different designs of 253 and 308 heads there are, but we will put that on. It's interesting, some of the holes here are quite large and this one's small. I don't know what the reason for that is. You know, tell me, because I've got no idea. Anyway, make sure it fits. I want to take these, take the exhaust off the manifold so I can get the manifold bolted up first. The other one fitted up really well, so that was good. I just had to find some washers for the studs. A lot of rust falling out of them, but hey. I've given these a soak with Penetron, which is just a penetrating fluid. Doesn't matter what you use, I just like Penetron for this sort of stuff. And now I'm going to ugga-dug it. Now I should be using an impact socket, but I haven't got a 15mm impact socket. Why these are 15mm, I don't know, but that's what they are. What I'm going to do first is try and tighten them a bit to crack the rust, and then loosen them. I've got less chance of stripping the thread out if I do it that way. So just got to take it forward a bit, just a little bit, and back it up. Hopefully it works with me. Come out a bit, and then I'm going to go back in again. Either the nut will undo or the stud will come out, but as long as nothing breaks or strips. Okay, nut came off. Forward, backwards. Backwards again. Easy peasy, Japanesey. Okay, well, all I've got to do is separate that, get this thing bolted up, and we're another step closer. Obviously, I'll keep the hardware because it's a valuable 15mm. Lovely. I presume that's a valve for the choke or something. I guess it's seized. We'll try and free it up anyway. Lesson over. So I presume this valve is for a thermostatic choke. It obviously unbolts. So I need to make the choice. If I can get this working, get it moving, I think I'll include it on the exhaust, even if it never gets used. But if it does free up and work, then why not have an auto choke? So I'll soak that for a while and see if I can get it work, because it'll make a difference to the length of the exhaust through that section. So the exhaust I've got already had this in there. It is stuck open, so I guess it's not going to do any harm if I leave it there, even if I don't get it freed up. It's going to stay there, but I'll try and get it working. Well, that took 1 minute. No lubricant, I just banged it and just kept hitting it with the hammer to break the rust free, and hey presto. So that's going back on. I'm listening to a really cool Spotify mix at the moment. What's it called? Rockabilly Hot Rod Mix. It's great music, really good. So I always like to listen to music when I'm working. So what I've got is the exhaust. I got that other manifold on. It's amazing. It's almost like it was designed to fit. So what I'm going to do, because I don't have a stand to hold this exhaust up, I'm going to ratchet strap the back of it to my beautiful new tray frame and just lift the back of it up, and then I'll position the front. And the reason being, it's not so I can fit it. I need to work out where I need to cut it, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to need to extend it 6 inches somewhere. So if I can put it up there, then I'll see where it's supposed to mount and work out where I need to do those cuts. That's assuming I need to do some cuts. If luck is on my way, and that rooster stops crowing, then I might be able to bolt it straight up, but I don't expect that to happen. Okay, change of plan. Problem is, the muffler's welded on there, and then this muffler's welded on there, and then the two mufflers are welded together. So the reason I'm saying that is that I went to put it up there, and of course that goes over the diff. So I was going to separate it so that I could get it over the diff and try and work it out. That's not going to work in my favour. So what I'm going to do, since this is the area that I reckon I need to lengthen it, I'm just going to cut that there, these two front pipes, those two front pipes will become loose, so that'll be what it'll be. And then I'll hang that over the diff. Have no idea whether any of the mounting points are going to line up from a ute to a 1-tonner, but the mufflers I think should still fit in the right spot. Diff theoretically will still be in the right spot. Probably just need to put 6 inches through there, so I'll cut it there and put it back down. I'm trying to avoid making it so that it is a mismatch of cut up pieces, because it's not too bad really. So I'll cut it there, put those up, play from there. I think that's the easy, sensible way to go. And don't know why I'm starting to be sensible now, but hey, at this age, it's a good time to start. Or not. I don't like being sensible. That's a stupid idea. As I make my first cut, I am thinking when I extend it, I'm going to have trouble welding the two pipes, joining them back together again. So I'm going to have to cut the mufflers apart when the time comes, and the weld is down the front there. I am going to have to cut those apart. But I've also decided, because I don't want to be sensible, that's a problem for future Todd. So right at the moment, I'm going to keep cutting. Well, this fought me and fought me, but I'm pretty happy with it. So as it turns out, the pipes come out below the tray there, so I'm very happy with that. I like the width of them, as in, you know, right out to the edge. I had to play around, terrible camera angles, I'll show you underneath as well. I had to play around, but the mufflers sit in this area here, the mounts were already there, so as I said, I cut it out in the middle, and I've got some brackets holding it, which I'll show you, but there was the bracket that goes into the chassis here, so I was able to put that in there and then work out where everything went. So ends up I need 7.5 inches in there, which I thought those were only 6 inches longer, but maybe it's 8 inches, I'm not sure. And this pipe here was cut previously, so what I've done is just put a couple of hose clamps around it with a piece of flat bar just to keep the same plane, and that's how I've got the whole thing held together actually. So down here I've got angle iron on it with hose clamps to get the profiles right, get the lines right, so I can measure it accurately and all that sort of stuff and make sure that it's all on the right plane. And I've just started welding upside down, welding, you know, exhaust pipe, which is never easy, pardon me, never easy to weld, but getting it in place. So I just salvaged some hangers that I had. Where are we? Salvaged some hangers and just put them in under the chassis here. Down there. Also had those hanging around. These mounts are already there, so I presume it was something like that originally. I was wondering why the parts of my chassis were broken off underneath there. Now I know why. Someone ripped the exhaust off at some point in time, which doesn't surprise me when we saw the headers before. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. As I said, absolutely terrible camera angle, but I will show you. We'll put that vice there. I will show you from the side, but I've got the pipes parallel to the chassis. I've got them evenly spaced, evenly height, and so on. I cannot stand seeing uneven exhausts. And it's even got chrome exhaust tip. Look at that. That'll make it go faster. And yes, I am going to polish it up because it's free chrome. Why not? So pretty happy with that. I haven't done anything underneath other than bolt manifolds and everything up, but it's taken me hours to wrestle with these with all the wrong equipment, trying to get them to stay in place. But now it's there and I'm happy. Pretty close to the chassis over here, but I don't think it'll bang it if it does. Anyway, it's a ute. Righto, so a couple of days later, I picked up a 2-inch exhaust pipe. It's not stainless, so whatever that is, zinc coated or whatever it is. Got this piece just from a muffler shop, so it was a scrap the guy had. And what I've done is I've prepared this side. So once again, I've got the angle iron there just to hold it together. If I actually took the angle iron off, they drop away from each other, so this keeps it on the same angle. And I've just sort of spun it around so I can get the bit of pipe in there once I've cut it, and then I can put some welds on it, and I will try and make it as solid as I can so that I can drop it down and get a good weld to it. I've put masking tape around there so that so I gave it a really good clean up with my angle grinder with a flat disc and just my finger file on the airline. Gave it a clean right the way back to here because I wasn't sure how much I was going to cut off. Put the masking tape around it to get a line that I could cut to with my grinder, and then just cut some pieces off so it's a nice square end so that I can cut the piece. Now I've got 205 millimeters, so I've measured 205 millimeters on my bit of pipe here, and I'm just going to run some masking tape around that to get a square cut. Now I could use a drop saw. I got it. Could I be bothered setting it up for 2 cuts? No. So I'm just running that around. You could probably put a hose clamp, or you could put a hose clamp around there as well, just to make sure that you get a true square cut. So I'll use tape on this, and I'll grab a hose clamp and I'll do the second one like that just to show you what I'm talking about. Let's cut. Righto, ready to be cut. There's a little nick just there, and that's because I nearly cut on the wrong side of the piece of tape, and I double checked. If you're wondering why the tape's still here, simple, I forgot to take it off. Okay, I'll throw some weld on that. Okay, got that side blazed in, and I've actually managed to get right the way around it. So I've got this other side set up in exactly the same way. Cleaned the pipe up. This time I didn't worry about putting any tape on it because it looked pretty square. And I took a measurement and I put that measurement onto this bit of pipe. And as you can see, I've literally just put a hose clamp around it, and it sort of self-positions itself so that's a square cut. So I'm just going to run a Sharpie marker around on the right-hand side of that, where that mark is, not the X. The X is telling me that's the off-cut. So do that, and then I've got a line to cut to. I'll take the clamp off so I don't cut it, but simple as that. Well, look who's popped in to see me, John Delios. And John has got his, John, 59? 58 F600, that's right, it's a big rig, on a HJ chassis, 304, turbo 400, yep. And he's towing his teardrop, just been up at Rattle Trap, and by all accounts it was good, but nearly got washed out because the ocean decided it would change plans. How cool is this thing? With a big truck, there's his bedroom. So I always like it when people drop in and say good day. So John and I have sat there and had a couple of teas and a good long conversation, and yeah, it's been good to catch up, so appreciate it, John.
No problems.
Until next time. Look at that, eh? You too can be one of the cool kids if you build one of those. Yeah. I'm just going to put some gaskets on this so I can get the manifolds bolted up properly, so I can see if there's any leaks on the system, and also hopefully I can drive it up and down the driveway a couple of times. It's got to be rough as guts, but we'll see. I've got these gaskets brand new out of the packet. They should be just fine. No. Well, maybe we won't be doing that. Might have a gasket on one side. Damn, now I'll have to buy some gaskets. Never stops. I'm fitting those manifolds up, and because I don't like battling with gaskets sliding down, which I haven't got new gaskets yet, I'm just putting it in for fitment. Rather than holding the whole thing on with the standard exhaust bolts, I'm putting studs in. So I'm just doing two. So I'm putting 2 studs in out of the 6 bolts that hold the manifolds on. And that way, because I've got enough room, I can slide the gasket onto the studs. Then I can lift the manifold up onto the studs, put some nuts on those, and then the rest then I'm just going to use bolts. Now, why? Because I don't think I need to have 6 studs. I'll just put 2 in either side. But what I'm doing, to put the studs in, I'm double nutting them. So you can see on this that there's a short thread and a long thread. And what I'm doing, I'm screwing the short thread into the head. So the manifold's here, short thread goes into the head. And I'm just doing that by finger. And then to get them tight, to put them right the way in, I'm double nutting. So I'm just putting 1 nut on, putting a second nut on, holding the first one in place, tightening the second one in place, and then once it's tightened in place, then I can use my ratchet and tighten it in. And once it's tightened in, once this thread bottoms out into the head, then I can once again hold that nut, undo this nut, take it off, go back to a standard single nut, and then tighten that up to tighten the manifold on. So you can use that technique to undo things, to do things up. It doesn't even have to just be a stud. It could be you're putting a bolt in somewhere and you need to hold it in place for some reason. Then if you double nut it, then you can do that. So I've got one side on, doing the other side now, and I'm not going to lie, it's been a struggle. But hey, that's what swearing was invented for. Okay, let's see how this old girl sounds. All going well, she'll start up and we'll get some chicken heads happening on the end of the exhaust there, and we'll see how much rust ends up in those chicken heads, their gloves. So let's make a start. Well, she's idling very fast, but it actually sounds like it's got an exhaust now. I think it's the auto check. Yeah, it's slowing down a bit now. That's good. I did mention I'd given things a bit of a clean up, so it's not spotlessly clean, but it's certainly cleaner than it had been. Well, that's pretty good. Very interesting to know if it actually makes the thing run any better. A bit of back pressure. No exhaust manifold. It's actually not making a heap of noise. Spokes just dropped off a bit. Got a bit of a top end noise in it. I'm just going to take it for a drive up and down the driveway, see what happens. Don't you love it when you have success on things? Probably drive it out the driveway and never get it back in again, but hey. Nah, she doesn't want to play. Idle's okay, like fast. As soon as I put it into gear, it stalls. Every time. Put it into gear, stalls. Doesn't matter whether it's reverse or a forward gear. I don't know. I'm not that brilliant with that sort of stuff, so I'll have to try and work it out. So I don't really want to get it outside here and then take 2 hours to just get it back in the garage again, because it's a slight uphill and I'm by myself. So we got an exhaust and it's not terrible. That was the main objective. So I guess I'll move on to something else. Maybe I'll try and get it running better. Maybe I might not be bothered. We'll see. Righto, so I was having to think about it, and Stevie Ray Vaughan said to me, because I'm listening to him, sounds like a vacuum leak, Todd. So I've gone through and I've checked all the vacuum pipes, and there was hoses running everywhere, so I've shortened them, blocked them more thoroughly. I had done that before, but just neatening it up a little bit as I get further along. And then I had a look and I wiggled one, and it was the vacuum modulator pipe. So it goes from the back of the transmission, the vacuum modulator, to the manifold. And I think it's meant to go just to direct manifold vacuum. But what I could not find was a fitting that was the right size, and the metal pipe was all bodged up and all the rest of it. So what I'm doing is I've just got a piece of brake pipe, and I'm flaring the ends of it so that the rubber hose stays on, and that end is going to go down to my transmission, and the other end I'm going to go to the base of the carby here. There's a spare vacuum pipe. I would like to run it to this here, to this port, but all the pipes are too big and I haven't got any reducers, so I'm just going to run it to here. I don't think the vacuum should make much difference from this point to that point, so I'm just going to run rigid line from the transmission up to here, and then rubber down at the transmission. I'll show you where it's going. Okay, so I'm squashed under the steering wheel, but luckily there's a big hole in the floor that I can look through. So this is my transmission. So what I've got, this is the vacuum modulator just here. The valve on the back there that helps with the shifting of the transmission. And this is that pipe I've got, so I'm just going to run that there. I'll shorten that little rubber hose and that'll go there. I've got my speedo drive that still needs to come out here, my speedo cable. And there is a little clip here, which I presume is either for this or for the speedo cable. So I'm going to hook that onto there, and then I'll run it as neatly as I possibly can up the back of the transmission there somewhere, and then across beside the dizzy here, and as I said, go into this one. So I'm just going to shorten it about there, bend it into shape. I'll put a flare in the end of it, and hopefully that will be that. And maybe that is the problem that is stopping it from running properly. I was walking over here to do this, and Stevie Ray Vaughan spoke to me again. And he said, "Hey Todd, maybe the people would like to see how you're putting the flare on the pipe." So here we are. So this is the mark just here. So I've just got this little pipe cutter. These are great. They leave a nice neat cut, and it's square to the edge of the pipe. So I just put that on there. It's got a little blade. Let's zoom in a bit, eh? And we just do that up, spin this around a few times, tighten it a little bit more, spin around a few more times, tighten it a bit more, and eventually we get a nice neat cut on our pipe. And just like that, your pipe cutter falls on the ground. Now we've got to flare it. So that gives a nice neat little cut. If you're doing brake pipes, then you do want to go through and just give a little bit of a clean up in the middle there. I generally use a little file or something. But for vacuum, for what I'm doing, I'm not particularly concerned. Then I have my tool, which is disassembled at the moment, so I'll put it back together. Now that I've tidied my bench up to look like a far more professional content creator, I'll show you. So we have our tool. I'm using 3/16 pipe. You can also use 4 3/4, 4.75 mil. So this line in the middle just here, I need to put this pipe in. So I need to get this pipe and push it through until I can just see the end of it coming through in line with that line just there. Once it's there, I've got to hold it in place and tighten the pipe in place. So this just clamps the tool around the pipe, make sure that it hasn't moved. Looks good, there's a little bit of grease in there, so it's a little bit hard to see. So just tighten that off, don't have to squeeze on it. And then for this, I'm doing a din flare, and that's not a brake fitting that you would use, it is for things like this. So I get this tool just here, focus, I get that tool just there, and I just dip it in the grease, screw it in here, hold the tool in place, and grab a spanner, twirl it a few times until it bottoms out. Now this particular tool, you can do brake fittings, brake pipe fittings as well, so SAE flares, does them really well. I've got some other brake tools as well, and they're horrible. Not only do they break, they don't do a very good job. So this is great. So I've tightened that off. Now I can untighten that off, remove this, undo that. You may have to take the whole top off, but we'll see. Sometimes you do, mostly you don't. Because it's got the flare now resistant to come out. Okay, and that is what we've just created. Now the reason I want that there is so that when I push a piece of rubber hose on there, it doesn't want to come back off. So pretty simple little thing. So this tool, this is it. It comes with that. Comes with that. A couple of other fittings. They're mainly for similar type things, but just the same, different version of the same tool, and instructions, which I try not to lose because I have to look at it every time I do it. Good tool, better than the alternative. A lot of us home guys, when we buy a brake flare kit, we buy something like this in the first place. Unless you can get really good quality ones, I would advise don't even bother. Just spend the extra bucks, even if you're only doing one car, because that guy over there will give you a better result, less frustration, and by the time you finish doing the car, you will have broken the pieces that you need, and you'll only ever use it for one size, and you'll break that little tip off and be unhappy the fact that you've got this kit that you can't use for pretty much anything else, and it sits in the cupboard like the two that I've got do. So that's just my word of advice. You do as you please, however. So obviously I'm hoping that fixed that. Now this is the rubber hose that was going to the modulator. So clearly it had a vacuum leak and probably stopped it from shifting. I guess it wouldn't have stopped it shifting at low speed, I don't think. More for high speed. But that was a vacuum leak. That's not going to make the car run well. So when I was trying to put it into gear, it was stalling. I don't know, two seemed to be a good combination of me, so we'll see. Wish me luck. Fingers crossed. I've got a spanner in my hand as well, so if I need to disconnect the battery, I can. And that's probably going to fall off there. Put that there. Perfect. Let's see how we go, eh? I'd have completely tuned it. Ignition on. 2 pumps. Timing doesn't sound good. Come on, baby. Hey, 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 hey. She's not stalling. Brakes are bad, remember. Hey, that was the problem. That's an unexpected wind that I wasn't even trying to do. Any comfort driver. Welcome aboard the good ship FRANKENINTER. Hold on to your pants, your seats, hold on to everything. I'll hold on to the tripod. I just got stuff sitting on the back of the tray. I can't go too wild. I'm going to go wild enough. Let's go around the tree. Our lawn is really boggy at the moment. This is probably a stupid idea. I think I'll reverse up. I can see through the floor. Uh-oh. She doesn't like reverse much. I think the steering shaft just fell off. Who didn't put a bolt in that? Oh, that'd be me. Let's have a look. Well, that excitement was short-lived because now I'm stuck in the front yard, front paddock of my property, which may not seem too bad, and it's not really that bad, but it's really wet. So what happened was I came up the driveway, I went to turn around, then remembered that my lawn was really wet, decided not to go there, came down here, forgot that the brakes don't work properly, nearly ran into that tree, tried to turn around and stalled, and now I'm stuck just there. So I'll see if I can drive it out of here. Otherwise, I might be doing a bit of towing, solo style, because the wife's not home. Not if there's anyone else. Welcome to Toxic Garage Customs, people, where success is guaranteed 100% of the time to almost be 80% right. Something like that. Ooh, we're back on the road. Don't stop. Why am I going in forwards? Probably because reverse doesn't work. Well, I don't know what it sounds like on the camera. It doesn't sound too bad out here. I really got to do something about those brakes, along with a lot of other things. I wonder what burnouts are like now. You reckon I can do a burnout while it's running so badly? I know some of you say burnouts are for posers. Oh well, here goes. Much quieter now, the burnouts. That didn't sound very good. I think I'll stop doing that. I think something just broke. That's why you don't do burnouts. Oh, that stinks in here. Oh, Mr. Hart, what a mess. That got all the mud off the tyres at least. Wasn't much of a burnout. All the people waiting to pick their kids up from school probably think I'm a bit of a hoon. You know what? They're right. Look, all the mud's off the tyres. But I don't know what actually went at the end there. I'd probably find out at some point. Well, that's all right. I'll call that a win. It ran, it was in gear, it did a burnout. I didn't get completely stuck in the front yard, and I've upset all the neighbours, all the people picking their kids up from the school across the road. That's always a win. Stop rambling, Todd. What are you doing next? Don't know. Coffee. I scored some tail lights a while back from my neighbour across the road, Chris, and I think they're off a Land Cruiser 200 series or something. He replaced them with LEDs or something, so they're brand new. Had the wires cut, but there's enough wire there to join onto, and they got the brackets. So I'm going to be using these, and Davina and I have decided that we want them right out to the edge here. So I'm not convinced the exhaust is going to stay there, and the tray still needs to be lifted up in height anyway. But I'm going to mount this just there, and I'm putting it back under a bit for two reasons. One, for protection of the tail light, so I hit the tray before I hit the tail light, hopefully, when I'm reversing. But also I may put a cover over these with some bars or something, so I don't want it sticking out past the tailgate. So if I mount it in here, then it'll give me enough room to be able to have some choices. So I think what I'm going to do, I've had a look at it, there are some mounting points. There's this here, there's a couple of holes here. I can obviously drill new holes, but what I'm going to do is remove the tail light from the frame and then put that there. Now what I think I'm going to be able to do is just weld some tabs onto the back of this and hopefully just fix that in place. And then when the time comes to wire it up, then it's already mounted. So time to do that. I'm keeping this pretty simple. I've cut the bracket off the top of these because I decided I didn't need it, and I'm just fixing this straight onto the bottom of the frame of the tray there. So there's 3 holes in the top. I'm just using the 2 outer ones. So what I did was just hold it in place, marked it, then drilled a pilot hole with about a 3mm drill bit, and then I'm coming through with a larger drill bit, because what I'm doing is I'm tapping a thread into the frame. So I'm just using my tap, and once I've drilled the holes, I'll tap and I'll tap, and then I'm fixing the bracket straight to the frame with a bolt, the spring washer and a flat washer, and then putting the lens back in. So I'll run through that and then I'll show you. Well, I reckon that looks good. Got them out as far as I can. They're about 5mm in from the edge because the bracket would stick out a little bit otherwise. Proportionately, I think they look good with the dimensions on the tray. They're actually sort of similar width to the wheels, so they'll be a similar width to the mud guards when they're there. As I said, I'm going to lift the tray, and then I've got to put a number plate somewhere. I might build a bit of a roll pan on the back of this yet. We'll see. And obviously it's all got to be cleaned up and a bit neater. And the exhausts may or may not end up there. Mind you, I have to say, I don't actually hate them there. I don't think they look too bad. I spent a lot of time getting them centered right, so they've centered nicely to the tail lights. So I reckon the price was right, free, and they look good. So all I got to do is wire them up. That's a tick. I like box ticking exercises. I don't mean from a bureaucrat point of view, but hopefully I've got that written on there, because if I have, then I can cross off, I can almost cross off the tray, I can cross off the exhaust, haven't got tail lights on there. Oh well, I'll write them on so I can cross them off. Getting there. Still a lot more things to do than that, but they're the big ticket items. So not bad. That's what they look like from the back, like an ugly tail light. So I think I'll try and just box this in. I'm probably going to put ammunition boxes down here on the side of the tray. There's rope boxes and things like that. That'll clean up the side of the tray there. And yeah, might put something on the back here. We'll see. What can I do next? Been a good day. Well, there's 1,000 different things I could be doing, so I might as well do one of them. Now what I'm going to do is start lubricating all of the steering and suspension components so that I can start pulling them apart. So I probably won't get onto that today, but if I just give everything as much of a soak as I can, it will make life easier for me later. So pretty much everything's going to be replaced. I have soaked a lot of stuff in the past. I'll do it again, because why not? I prefer to be able to get things out, but things like these, if I can't get them out, I can cut them. I'd prefer to reuse the bolts than have to purchase new ones. Not so much about the money, but just the inconvenience that I have to go and get them. But yeah, lube everything up so that I can start pulling it apart. And then, you guessed it, after that, we're going to start rebuilding this front end. I think I've got just about everything. I need to buy discs. Don't know if I've got caliper kits, but I've got knuckles, bushes, all that sort of stuff. So we can get on to that.